Hey guys, for this video I decided to make something a little bit more personal. So I'm going to share my coming out story with you guys. So the first thing I guess I'll start with is um, when did you first know that you were gay? Um, so I would say maybe around the age of 8 or 9 years old is when I realized that I had some sort of attraction to boys. And then it wasn't until maybe age 12 or 13 that I was able to connect my feelings that I had with the word gay. But it was not for many, many years since I was able to make that connection that I was able to, admit it to myself. But I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, so there went all of middle school and all of high school. And honestly, I just didn't put too much thought into it, so it wasn't too big of a bother to me. But then in college, that's where I started, I really started to think about it. So in the beginning of college especially, I was struggling a lot with, my feelings, and there were times when I was in a really dark place, where I was sad and depressed. I felt really lonely, I didn't have anybody to talk to. And it's not like I didn't actually have anybody to talk to. Of course I did have people to talk to. I had really good friends, but I wasn't, talking to them about that. Luckily, I was working full-time and studying full-time, and I was enjoying my work, so I stayed really busy, so I didn't have too much time to be depressed and sad. And it's funny because during this time in college, I was actually trying to impress girls, and I was, doing all the typical things that I saw straight guys doing, and, I was just trying to, I thought that was me. If I tried for it, then maybe I could be that way, but it's definitely not the case, and I just wasn't comfortable with myself at the time. So that went on for, the first 2 years in college, my freshman and sophomore year. But in junior year, that's when things changed. So my junior year, first semester in college, I studied abroad in London. And London is where everything happened. I would say that only a couple weeks, at most went by before I told the first person that I was gay. And that's actually a funny story on its own. Okay. So I was walking around, really late at night. It was probably like 1 or 2 in the morning, actually, and I was walking around campus with a friend that I had met there in London. And she and I were walking around, just telling stories, and I don't know what came about with me, but I was like, yeah, I have something to tell you. And then, of course, I immediately regretted it, and I tried to change the subject, and I really didn't want to talk about it. But, then she's like, no, just tell me what it is. And I was like, no, go ahead and guess. What do you think it is? And she's like, no, I'm not going to guess. Just tell me. And that's when I was like, well, I'm sort of not into girls. But her answer is what, really stuck with me. And that was, or her reply. And her reply was, oh, I am. And that was really fun because I came out to her, and at the same time she came out to me. I mean, I kind of already knew from previous events that had happened about her, but she wasn't out about it, and neither was I, so we really bonded over that, and we became really good friends. We're still really good friends to this day. So yeah, I ended up telling more and more people. I lived with a very close group of people, group of friends that I felt really comfortable around, and slowly, one by one, throughout maybe like a week's time, I told everybody that I was living with, and everyone was happy for me and accepting, and I felt so comfortable, and it was really special. But then, yeah, so for the whole time I was studying abroad in London, I felt really comfortable with it, and everybody that cared to know knew, and I was totally out. But while I was in London, I wasn't out at all to my family or my friends at home. I just kind of kept it to London, and it was, this safe, happy place where I was able to be myself. For whatever reason, I felt comfortable. But yes, of course, my study abroad in London had to end, and then I returned home. And did I come out when I came home? No. By the way, when I was in London, I actually applied to study abroad again um, in New Zealand, and I got approved for that for the first semester of my senior year. So when I got home, I had my second semester of my junior year, where I think I told, one or two of my absolute closest friends, but I didn't tell, most of my friends or my family. And, you know, I just wasn't comfortable. I wasn't ready to tell everybody. But yeah, so I finished my whole junior year, and then I planned a trip to go back to England, to go back to London when I finished my year. So I did. I went with a friend of mine from New York, and he and I, went to London and we visited all our friends that we were living with, and we also traveled around to a couple other countries. And when I was traveling around, that's when I discovered a certain phone dating app. I'm sure you guys know which one. Um, and yeah, so I ended up meeting somebody. So I met this guy. We just casually met up, and we really hit it off. It was really strange. I had never had feelings like I did for him, and it was just so new and exciting. I was really like kind of in shock, but I had to leave and return home to actually pack up and get ready to move to New Zealand for my semester abroad. So we said goodbye, and I headed home, and then I headed to New Zealand. Okay, but during this time, me and this guy are talking every day. We're Skyping for hours, actually, almost every single day. And so I'm abroad actually in New Zealand for a total period of 6 months. But I would say about 2 months into my study abroad, that's when he and I decide to, might as well make it a little bit more serious, since we have serious feelings for each other. And so we do. Okay, so in New Zealand, I come out to, actually a very small group of people. Compared to London, it was common knowledge, but in New Zealand, I told a few of my closest friends, but it was not common knowledge, and, nobody knew unless, they were really close to me. So I didn't, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but I didn't feel as comfortable in New Zealand as I did in London. But now, me and this guy are very serious, and we are now, boyfriends. So he tells his parents about me. I meet them over Skype, and I, of course, am not out to my family. So then it's kind of my turn to do the same thing, and I do. I remember so well the feeling beforehand. I'm sitting on my bed in my room in New Zealand, in my dorm room, and I have my phone in my hand, and I'm all by myself, and I hit the FaceTime call button, and I remember I was just so nervous, I was shaking, but then when my mom answers, we just, catch up and whatever for like 5 minutes. I'm probably just talking too long about, random things just because I don't want to get to the point, but I'm just like, Vaughn, you have to do it, so just get to it. And at this time, it's so fun because the guy I'm seeing is messaging me, have you told her yet? Is everything going well? No, it was really exciting, kind of, and scary. But yeah, so at this point now, I feel like my heart is gonna like beat out of my chest. I feel like numb and cold, and it's just the craziest feeling. I'll try to explain the conversation that I had with my mom as best as I can remember. But I was like, so I'm kind of in a relationship. And of course her response is, super enthusiastic and happy. I think she said, oh, that's so great, who is it? What's her name? Yeah, what's her name? So to my response to that is, I think I was like, well, I think I made some like weird sounds, and I'm just at this point I'm just having like explosions happen in my body. I just felt crazy, and yeah, I think I was like, well, his name is, of course my mom's reaction is like, oh, that's so exciting. I want to see pictures. I want to hear all about it, and I feel very blessed that I have the family that I have. They're very accepting, and I feel I don't know, I don't take it for granted. I'm truly blessed with the family that I have. Um, so yeah, that was the coming out with my mom, but also when I came out to my mom, well, my stepdad was in the background, so I kind of got to kill two birds with one stone with that one. So my parents got to find out, but I have a sister as well, and she didn't know. But that was one of the first things my mom had asked me when I told her was, did you tell your sister? And I hadn't. So then the following day, my mom messages me like, did you tell her yet? And I don't even think I responded to her message because I was like, no, I already came out to her. I wasn't ready to, go crazy and tell everybody. The following day after that, I get a FaceTime call from my mom, so I answer it because I don't think anything of it. But who do I see? I see my mom and my sister on the FaceTime screen together. My sister was visiting my mom, so they were both at my parents' house. And my sister and my mom are staring at me, and my mom looks over at me and she's like, just staring, and then she looks over at my sister and she's like, well, Vaughn has something to tell you. And then my sister looks at me and I'm in shock now, and my immediate reaction is, no, I don't. I'm just like, no, I don't. And my mom is just smiling, she has this giant smile on her face, and then she looks over at my sister, looks at her in the face, and she's like, Vaughn is gay and he has a boyfriend. And I remember I was just like shocked. I was so embarrassed and like mortified, honestly. And then my sister, has this big loud like "aw" sound, and she's like asking me all these questions and asking me if she can tell her friends. And I'm just in shock. I think I was like, yeah, you can tell your friends. Like, I was just in shock. So yeah, that was me coming out to my whole family all over Skype. And then probably a few days later, we had a big Skype call, a 3-way Skype call, where we all got to meet each other, and yeah, so that was pretty cool. Well, the point of this video is not, on the relationship that I had, but it was on, it's my coming out story, in which my relationship at the time, played a huge role in. We're not together anymore due to our current life paths and our situations in life right now. But, he's a really great guy, and, if I had never met him, I don't know how my life would be now. The only reason I came out was because I had an excuse to. I can't imagine if I wasn't out now. My life is so much better because I feel like I am myself and I can truly be myself. I feel like if I could go back in time, I would have come out so much earlier. But at the same time, I came out when it was right and when I felt comfortable, and I wouldn't change that. I think it happened when it happened, and I'm totally happy with that. And I'm so happy that I didn't rush it. I know that there are so many, sad and horrifying stories of people coming out to their families and their friends, and I know how truly blessed I am to have the family that I have. I choose to surround myself with the best of friends and family who are supportive of me and who really truly care for me and who are there for me. And I hope that all of you do as well. You should only surround yourself with love. So that's really important. Being gay isn't who I am, it's just a part of me, and I embrace it and I'm proud. So that is my coming out story. I moved outside because it's such a beautiful day today, and I figured I would film the end outside. But yes, that was my coming out story. I filmed it because I've seen many other coming out stories, over the years, and they've been very inspiring to me. So I figured I would pay it forward and I would share my story. So please comment below, and I would love to hear what you guys have to say. And please don't forget to subscribe. This is giant hawk just flew by me, that's cool. But yeah, this is a new channel I just made, so I would be very appreciative if you guys were to hit the subscribe button, and please like the video, and I have a link to my Instagram below. And thank you guys so much for watching. Peace and love to you all. Bye!